Outrage over Indiana's new religious freedom law is escalating around the country. Gay rights activists say it promotes discrimination, but Indiana's governor says not so. Heather Sells has the latest.
Indiana is feeling the heat as both Hoosiers and national leaders protest its new religious freedom law. On social media, celebrities and some governors and business leaders have been quick to denounce it. The law itself is similar to one that 19 other states have passed. It simply allows religious minorities who believe their conscience rights have been violated a day in court to air their grievances. But gay rights supporters say the law encourages discrimination, encouraging a backlash. Some major companies like Yelp say it may affect their business in the state, and the NCAA says it's reconsidering its investment in Indiana.
We have to say, all right, what are we going to do if this law goes into effect in July, and what's our relationship with the state of Indiana going to be?
In today's Wall Street Journal, Governor Mike Pence penned an op-ed saying the law is not a license to discriminate. And Republican lawmakers in Indiana say their intent was not to discriminate against Hoosiers.
What we had hoped for with the bill was a message of inclusion of all religious beliefs. What instead has come out is a message of exclusion, and that was not the intent and hopefully not the effect.
Bosma says lawmakers are now looking to clarify through legislation that the law does not discriminate. In the meantime, advocates for religious liberty are bemoaning the outcry against a law designed to encourage the protection of religious freedom.
For the first time in the history of our country, religious liberty is under uniform attack by the government. It's never happened before.
In 1991, President Clinton signed the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Like the state laws, it instructed federal courts to support individual religious liberty unless the government could demonstrate a compelling government interest. The law enjoyed bipartisan support, but today such support is unthinkable, as religious freedom is no longer a bedrock belief, but a controversial issue. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Joining us now with more is Brad Jacob, Associate Professor at Regent University School of Law. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, why is this law in Indiana causing such an uproar? It seems like 19 other states have this. The federal government has similar laws. Is this different? What is it?
It's not different materially, Ephraim. It's just the world we live in today is different, and there's other things that are on people's plates that weren't before. I was part of the group that lobbied for the original Religious Freedom Restoration Act in Congress back in 1991 through 1993. We worked with the American Civil Liberties Union. We worked with People for the American Way, Americans United for Separation of Church and State, very liberal groups, along with the Southern Baptist Convention and the National Association of Evangelicals. I led the Christian Legal Society. It was an incredibly broad group. Everybody was for religious liberty. There's a federal law. There are 20 states that have laws. There are other states that give strong religious liberty protection under their state constitutions. None of this is new, and it's just because Indiana is passing a law today, like everybody else's law, that the environment is such people are saying, oh, this must be aimed at gays, this must be about discrimination. It's not different.
Okay. Indiana's law extends religious liberty protection to corporations. What does that mean?
Well, it means if you have a family-owned business, if you have a Hobby Lobby, if you have some kind of a corporate entity that has a religious mission, those kinds of corporations can claim free exercise protection just like anyone else, or a nonprofit organization. You know, I teach at Regent University. We're a religious nonprofit. As a nonprofit corporation, we can claim religious liberty just as you or I could as individuals.
Critics say this is a blank check to discriminate. How do you respond to those critics?
Well, it's not about discrimination. It's about protecting religious liberty. The cases people are mostly concerned about at this point are things like the cake baker, a Christian cake baker who doesn't want to bake a cake for a gay wedding. Those cases shouldn't be religious liberty cases at all. Those should be freedom of contract cases. Someone who's a private business person should be able to decide, unless it's on basis of race or something like that, which is a whole different issue. But as a general rule, if the African-American baker says, I don't want to bake a cake for the Ku Klux Klan rally, or the Jewish baker says, I don't want to bake a cake for the neo-Nazi party, or somebody just says, the cake you want is too complicated, I don't feel like working that hard. In America, we're supposed to have freedom of contract to decide who to work with. And so religious liberty shouldn't even be needed for a case like that. It should just be regular freedom.
Real quickly, with all the outrage over this new law, what do you think will happen to legal protection for religious liberty? While will other states be discouraged from taking action? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I don't know. You know, for these 25 years, 20 plus years, there's been a strong support for religious liberty statutes. After what's happening in Indiana, I guess other states may be more reluctant to try to protect religious liberty. We're blessed that there are so many states that already have strong protection for religious freedom, but how many more are going to go down that path, it's hard to say.
All right, Brad Jacob, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated your insight.
My pleasure. Thank you, Ephraim.